In the old days, the old fans will tell you, in the good old days when old men wore hats and young men kept the peace, football was family entertainment. You could take the kids. The kids could go by themselves. And the nearest thing to hysteria was an end-of-match invasion of the pitch by a friendly and congratulatory crowd. In the old days, too, Luton Town, the Hatters, despite a brief foray into the First Division and even the Cup final in the late 50s, were a small club and mostly regarded as losers. Today, everything has changed. Luton are no longer losers. They've been known to lick Liverpool, and in the battle to lick what's become known worldwide as the British disease, football violence, they're way ahead of the game. They've introduced a members-only scheme and banned all-away supporters.
Well, in my view, it is going back to how it used to work in the past, except for now we have membership cards. But 25 years ago, there were very few visiting supporters, except for cup ties, because there was no motorways. People worked until 12:30 on Saturdays. People used to come by bicycle and so on. There was no major travelling support. It's only since the motor car revolution and the motorway, since we've had a major influx of visiting support and therefore hooliganism.
This is Kenilworth Road in Luton. Quiet, residential, peaceful. It's a Saturday afternoon, and just behind those houses, Luton are playing Liverpool. Yet nowadays, even before and after the match, Kenilworth Road remains quiet, residential, peaceful. It wasn't always like that. 2 years ago, in some of the most violent rioting ever seen in Britain, Millwall fans at Luton, after seeing the players off more than once, viciously attacked supporters, stewards and police. During a deluge of destruction which cost in all tens of thousands of pounds, the so-called fans first turned the ground into a desert and then their attention to the townspeople and local shops.
First of all, they tried to kick in the amusement arcade down the road. They found that they couldn't do nothing there because there was a lot of Asian youths in there. What they did afterwards, right, they saw a couple of the Asian youths go upstairs. As they went upstairs, they followed. They saw that they couldn't get in from the back there, so they decided to throw whiskey bottles and beer cans.
Now there's a ban, that's just a memory from the bad old days.
Football supporters used to come around, pick it up, chuck it away, just kick it all on the road. We used to make a lot of loss before, but you know, we're all right now. I mean, we'd rather if it stays like this.
You want it to stay?
Yeah. I mean, you still get the ordinary football supporters coming there, but you don't get no troublemakers there now.
Public anxiety produced prompt prime ministerial loss of patience. Mrs. Thatcher wanted 100% club membership schemes. Football objected. Even now, out of 92 clubs, only 3, all in the south, have gone the whole hog. Torquay, Colchester and Luton, where the club chairman, a Conservative MP who made a fortune literally cleaning up, not least on the stock exchange, is determined that his zeal for purification shall be no less concentrated when applied to football violence.
People ask me, why did I implement a members scheme at Luton? I'll tell you why. I was sick and tired of seeing this nation of ours being depicted as a lawless rabble on television by soccer hooligans. And I say to football, whether they like it or not, the next move forward for them is a members scheme. I support them.
If ever fair lady sought a suitable champion, and if ever a champion found favour at court, this was the occasion.
You remember that Luton Millwall match? And so they said, right, we're going to get rid of hooliganism. That is what people want. But it not only gets rid of hooliganism, it will save the game of football.
Mrs. Thatcher's missionary fervour, however, did not find so much favour with the fans or the Football League, who soon found pitfalls in the path of getting all clubs to agree to 100% membership. Eventually, the government compromised at a minimum of 50%, but not David Evans. Is it your view that it's got to be a 100% membership scheme or nothing?
Yes.
And they're saying 50% will do.
50% is just a sop to the government. What's the point in shuffling all the hooligans into half the ground? I mean, All right, so you got 50% membership. What's that prove?
What's the government going to do? It asked originally Mrs. Thatcher for 100%. It hasn't got it.
You better ask the Mrs. Thatcher.
What do you think?
I think the government should say to football that you will have to have a Football League members scheme which enables all football fans to have a card, rather like an American Express card or an Access card. And they'd like you to get one of those cards. You have to fill in an application form, and you will find that the hooligan, the bully, the coward will immediately not be a member of that club.
Well, basically, the idea is that you separate people and don't allow them to mix at all. And it's exactly what we were posing in South Africa. They are being castigated in South Africa for introducing or for maintaining apartheid. Here we have David Evans wishing to introduce it.
How have you been treated by the other clubs?
I would say 90% of them have treated me like a leper. There are 3 or 4 clubs who are prepared to be realistic, but I've had tremendous hostility personally from other clubs. My team has received tremendous hostility, which contributed to the demise of John Moore as manager, and my fellow directors and management also. But I don't necessarily worry about that too much. I mean, I accept that fans want to go and watch their team play away, and I'm with them. I think they should be allowed to go and watch their teams play away. But what I'm not prepared to do is to have this club smashed up when it just suits a certain section of away fans. I'm not prepared to do it.
The members-only scheme, and particularly the ban on away fans, has divided football.
I think the Luton scheme is a great idea because they have turned round, Luton Football Club have turned round and said to the FA, we don't want lunatics in our ground. Now the only people that they've got in their ground are their own supporters, and they know who's coming in the ground. That has cost Luton a lot of money, but good luck to them.
Any scheme where you've got to produce cards or photographs or slips of paper, you're always open to forgeries and all sorts of hassles. I don't know, it's, I can understand people looking for solutions, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't think that's the solution.
Nor does the Football League, who see that 92 different sizes and shapes of club and ground, with different incomes, safety precautions and levels of violence, cannot readily adopt Luton's easy answer.
We are in favour of it, but we don't. We've never attached the importance to it that has been attached in some areas. You could make all the grounds 100% membership, presumably, but maybe you'd have to close the grounds. Maybe there wouldn't be a football league if you did that. Would that be too high a price to pay to get rid of a problem which primarily is one of society? This is the debate, obviously.
So you wouldn't support the government's original view that it should be 100% as it is at Luton, for example? No,
we fought that suggestion most strongly over the last couple of years and continue to do so.
Until the Football League is prepared to assure me that everybody coming to this ground is a member of their members club, then I won't be having the fans back in here.
What's their attitude? Do you detect hypocrisy?
No, double standards is a better word. They're full of people who, in my view, have not wholly got the game at heart.
This is the league table so far of how the 21 in the South East are responding to the request to introduce membership schemes. So 19 out of 21 clubs have fallen below the 50% membership level which the previous sports minister, before the last election, agreed was the minimum.
They can't all go to 100%. Because certain grounds are structured in a way where if they went higher than the current level of membership schemes, we would in fact have more potential hooliganism than currently exists. And that is why I was very keen to have police letters backing the clubs for every single club in the country, which is all the 92 in the league.
One of those recently chastised by the minister was Fulham, a club that's seen better days and whose future at Craven Cottage is anyway under threat. By government criteria, its membership is only 20%, but Fulham claims to have a perfectly effective unofficial scheme already.
It's a voluntary scheme. It's not, if you haven't got your card, you can't get in, because any such scheme like that at Fulham, I think, really is hardly needed. We have a magnificent record of not having any hooligans here. It's There's a friendly atmosphere, I think, as most people in football know. And if it's necessary, and we think it's the right way to stay alive, we'll take on governments or any party or anybody. But I don't think that will be necessary in our case, because if you came here on a Saturday, you'd see exactly what I mean.
As well as taking on the minister, not just the clubs, but frustrated fans from all over the country have some hard questions to ask of David Evans, who remains adamant that his hard line is football's only hope. But can Luton avoid trouble forever when angry fans can and will beat their system? You're a Liverpool fan. What are you doing here?
Come to try and get in to see the game.
But you must have known that you couldn't when you came.
But, I think I'll get in. There's a chance I will get in to see you.
How will you do it?
I don't know yet.
Do you go to all the games?
Yeah.
Home and away?
Home and away.
And what do you think of the scheme for keeping people out from other clubs?
I think it's stupid, really. No other club does it, so why these should do it and have the unfair advantage.
And what are you going to do now?
Don't know yet. I'll get in.
You inside?
Okay.
What's to stop people passing cards around?
Well, there isn't anything really to stop them passing around, except that if they misbehave themselves and they are in possession of somebody else's card, then clearly there is an offence then occurred, and then we and the police can take appropriate action. But again, so long as they behave, what does it matter? The object of the exercise was to control hooliganism, and this is what's been achieved. I think there are something like 100 or so Liverpool supporters today who have come to the match without tickets, and of course they're not being allowed in.
One man doing everything possible to get away fans in is the editor of the football magazine Off the Ball, which has been campaigning against the Luton ban on away fans.
And we're calling clubs to operate 100% teams to offer their guest facilities to away supporters who want to come and watch their team at those particular grounds.
If you bring away the ground, aren't you re-incurring?
Away supporters do get into the ground. I mean, if you go to Luton on any Saturday, you will see there are large fans already beating the ban. The ban isn't working. It's simply reducing the numbers, but the away fans are getting in, and sometimes in.
Luton claims that 98% of its 30,000 members approve the scheme, but as so often, there's a majority who don't. They meet other clubs used to refuse this on matches.
It's quite interesting on Saturday because it's the first time I've ever heard the Bladen races being sung in the home supporters end.
When they're playing Newcastle.
That's right, yeah. And I mean, frankly, I don't mind. I mean, I do feel genuine sympathy for ordinary decent supporters, but I think the time has come where we perhaps could have a relaxation. I mean, I do appreciate the fact that I can go there in safety, and I've got a young son who I want to take down there in safety. But I think maybe the time has come now where members or season ticket or members supporters club could be allowed in, perhaps initially in, and see how that goes.
One of the things that worries me so far this season is that we've seen quite a lot of away fans get into Luton Town. We saw it last season as well. There's no segregation in the ground at all, obviously, because they don't cater for them. Before very long, the wrong away fans are going to come in, and then there's going to be on that ground.
One of the major objections that we had to the Luton membership scheme is that it's a purely negative measure in our view.
You support somebody else?
Well, yes, I support Everton. We would prefer
but
to
Luton Town supporters themselves have the same feelings.
Yeah. Well, we would prefer to see more positive action taken by the authorities, also the supporters themselves. What we do in Luton, in London at the moment, is that we have regular liaison with the Metropolitan Police in order to exchange ideas whereby we might help each other to root out the hooligan element. We may have many disagreements around this town about how it can be done, but we all have one thing in common. We do not want hooligans at football matches.
In closing grounds to away supporters, are we not saying the hooligans have won? Is this not similar to saying, well, look, there's a lot of crime associated with drinks, so why don't we close every pub in the area? This is the sort of line that we're heading down here. Yeah. What we would all agree on around this table, and what we want to see is, we want to see the people that caused the trouble arrested and put away for a good length of time. That's what we really want. Yeah. We've got closed circuit television in the grounds now. We have that ability to pick them out. And with a bit of luck, that's what we're going to see a lot more of.
Well, I love the team, but I just hate everything to do with the administration because I refuse to go to that ground until the ban has been lifted and the pricing has been reduced to a reasonable level.
So you're not watching no football at all?
I go to all the away games. I'd fill any club's coffers rather than that administration up at Kentworth Road.
The last time Luton met Colchester was in 1971. They lost 1-0. Now they're 3 divisions higher, but united in philosophy. Both teams operate members-only schemes. Last season, Colchester sometimes took less through the gate from an average crowd of under 3,000 than they paid out for police protection.
The reason we brought in 100% membership here is from the configuration of the ground. As you can probably have noticed from outside, you can only get into this ground at one end. So financially, to actually construct a 50-50 membership scheme in compliance with all the government and league rules would cost us about £60,000. To become a member of Colchester United, you have to pay £5. For that £5, we've packaged what we think are a significant number of benefits. There are things like £5 worth of free drinks in in-coop pubs, £25 worth of cleaning, sketches, £5 per day off Ace car rental, half-price entrance into the local zoo and pleasure parks at Yarmouth and things like that. The package is worth about £60 or £70.
Drink seems a curious inducement.
It's an inducement to join the membership scheme. And, well, as today's match is sponsored by In-Coop, and we were happy to have them here.
What sort of response have you had from the non-footballing interest, so to speak?
Well, to be perfectly fair, the scheme's been marketed so badly that we've only achieved a membership of about 3,000. The local press have made some store of the falling gates and blamed the membership scheme. If all the people who'd actually paid for membership came to watch us, we would actually have better gates than we had last season, so it's not really true.
Even so, the gate is less than half what it was for the same match last year. And once again, it seems, the innocent suffer for the sake of the guilty few.
No, we're just here hoping to take our lads in to enjoy a decent game of football, and somehow we've been refused admission. I can't really understand it, because we're obviously not troublemakers, are we?
Well, one can't tell. But what do you think of the scheme now that you know that...
Well, we won't come here because the indignant of being turned away.
After violent scenes at Scarborough in August, all clubs were told by the football authorities not to sell guest tickets on days that they played Wolves, not even to their own fans, who might resell them. So where do these fans come from? Have you come because you want to watch football or just to beat the system?
Watch Wolves? Both really. It's a challenge, isn't it, to get into all these band grounds. We went to all the FA band matches as well.
Can I just say that it isn't hooligans who's trying to get in here, it's Wolves fans who want to watch the Wolves. Yeah. Nothing else.
They'll want their supporters to come to Wolverhampton.
Yeah, we're letting them, we're coming to so why can't they let us come here?
They need the money. Look at the state of the ground.
Look at the state, they get 1,300 gates, that's no good, is it?
Well, what about...
if we hadn't been banned, we'd have brought, say, 3,000, maybe. They'd have got 5,000, that would have been the biggest gate of the season. They'd have got all the money in, wouldn't they?
We saw last Saturday in an FA Cup game Oasis here, well, the second time this season, but the first time with a significant number. And there was violence here for the first time, and there was excessive bad language, the things that some people call atmosphere. And there were a number of people who've actually got to enjoy coming here with their kids without that, who actually were somewhat startled with the contrast that suddenly confronted them.
At present, it seems the government expects the league to solve the problems and the league expects the clubs to do it. Something the Football League has done is appoint an ex-copper, Jack Crawford, as its hooligan expert to see how the schemes are working. But the league shies away from any arrangement which would entitle all club members to visit all other grounds.
Isn't it up to the league to run a membership scheme rather than individual clubs, so that everybody plays by the same rules?
Well, that's easier said than done, I must say. I mean, the league has enough problems running the league itself when you take account of the disparity between the very, very big clubs and the very, very small clubs, with all due respect to them. Their grounds are so different, the profile of their attendances is so different, that it really is the only practical, the only feasible way of doing it is to encourage clubs themselves to develop their own membership schemes, to develop their own family schemes, to develop their own community schemes, and hope that in the long term this process of re-education can pay dividends insofar as controlling crowds is concerned.
You say it's the club's business to pay for it. Is it therefore the government's business to tell them how to do it?
Well, the reason why we're working through the Football League and why there isn't any legislation in place is because we do expect governing bodies of all sports to run and control their sports. Government doesn't run sport in this country, and a lot of people would be very upset if it tried to. But governing bodies must take a very positive stance to control sport sport and recreation in this country, and football isn't exempt from that. For that reason, we look to the Football League, and in a partnership with the Football League, and obviously the government has to be concerned when you see the appalling occurrences that we have in recent years, then government has a duty to sit down with the Football League and ask them to take very positive measures.
It really does penalise the innocent fan, the many thousands of genuine football supporters. I myself came down to Luton in the mid-70s when the club was very close to bankruptcy, and they were putting the buckets out asking for home and away fans to donate money to save the club, and I put my hand in my pocket at that time and helped save Luton Town. Now they're telling me I'm not wanted. They're telling the people in Luton who can't afford £5 to stand to a match after they've bought their £5 membership card that they're not wanted if they can't afford it.
It has reduced the violence.
It's also reduced the gates of Luton Town very considerably, so much so that I think the club could well be in financial trouble again. Only this time I think they'll find supporters like myself less willing to put our hands in our pockets to save them.
In the past, Luton may have been something of a joke. After the local industry, they're nicknamed the Hatters, to which the prefix mad has frequently been applied. But in recent seasons, they've tried to put their house in order. They ripped up their old turf and replaced it with plastic. They have provided more entertainment on and off the field, except, of course, to away fans. And for home fans, watching top-class football is now safe and comfortable under the still vigilant but now discreet eyes of the local police.
We still can't believe the immediate success of the scheme. For example, we haven't had one arrest at the football ground or in the town on a football match day for over a season now, whereas we had 102 the season before and 190 the season before that.
What sort of things were people getting up to before the scheme?
Well, the worst examples were stabbings in 4 different matches before this system started. We had people stabbed before the match even started.
But that's exactly what did happen when, in deference to the football authorities and in order to remain in the competitions, Luton were obliged to allow away fans in for cup matches against Bradford City and Queen's Park Rangers. There were arrests for stabbings, slashings with Stanley knives, attacks on the police and drunkenness. The greater Luton's success in cup games, the greater the problem. So, before Luton entertained Portsmouth in the FA Cup 6th round, 70 police made a preemptive raid on the homes of known hooligans and seized an alarming array of weapons, including combat knives, Stanley knives, baseball bats and gas guns. The fact that there was no violence at the match confirmed the view among townspeople and shopkeepers that Luton's original ban was the right policy.
It really was getting pretty bad. You know, people at my age were really frightened. I mean, that was the thing. I mean, well, now it's a lot easier, isn't it? We don't get all these louts running around and that sort of thing. Yes, it's a lot easier.
So it's had a big effect on the town?
Well, I think so. I definitely think so. Yes, I hope they keep it up.
You can see from the volume of people that we have in the centre today, this wouldn't have happened before. When there was a home match, everybody thought, we'll go somewhere else.
It's a new life here, and I only wish that other clubs would take note of this. And in fact, the councils put pressure on the clubs. It's one of the despairing things about this is the way the Luton Football Club has become perhaps the most unpopular one in the country. And it is because of their home supporters only scheme. It's a great tragedy.
So there are minuses as well as pluses. Only 12,000 people turned up for Liverpool. A grateful public has not flocked back to Kenilworth Road.
Here at Luton, if I get anything less than 11,000, it costs 75p per supporter, simply because that's the economics of it, because you have to have ground improvements, you have to have 300 stewards, you have to have police, you have to have all sorts of costs, overheads, and until we get to 11,000, every game under 11,000 cost us 75p per fan.
Ultimately, the fans will be attracted by the star players, those with genuine and charismatic skills. If they react as negatively to the ban on away fans as some of them have to Luton's plastic pitch, if quality and morale go down, so too will gates. As a player, how would you feel if you went somewhere with no support?
Well, from my point of view, I would find it very, very difficult, particularly in the days when I was playing for Manchester United. Our travelling support was unbelievable. I mean, we had times had as many locked outsides as we had inside, and I, from a personal point of view, I find that it lifted me a little bit. You know, the bigger the crowd, the better I enjoyed it. So I would have found it very, very hard to lift myself without particularly your own support in front of a smaller crowd.
Well, I thought the atmosphere was quite good today. I mean, you could hear Liverpool support. There was some support for Liverpool. I don't think there's much difference to normal.
Where did it come from, this support?
I don't know, you tell me.
How did it get in?
I don't know, you tell me.
Is the scheme working then?
I don't know, you tell me. Yeah, I think it's working. It's because it's cutting hooliganism, and that's the main objective. If we do that, then it's got to be a success.
If they are going to have membership schemes, I would like that membership to be genuine, so that you are properly a member of a club with a vote, as they do have in cricket clubs in this country. If cricket has it, it can't be that radical.
So you could affect the policy of the club and who is manager and so on?
Well, certainly, yes, in the long term I would like to see supporters being proper members of their clubs, but not being forced to be members, but being encouraged to join.
The 100% membership scheme for Luton Town, in Luton, in those circumstances, has transformed football in that town. It has transformed it from a Saturday in which people were terrified about walking around the ground. Shops were barricaded. There were tremendous problems. There hasn't just been a mild improvement. The fact of the matter is there's been a radical change.
To say to somebody, well, you've got to have a signed a photograph on a membership card before you're allowed to go in. It's almost like saying you have to do that before you can go into Marks and Spencer's and buy an article of clothing. It's an extra amount of fuss that could deter some people from wanting to come to football matches. And also, of course, you do get those people who say, I will not carry a card under any circumstances. This is a free country. And there's a percentage of those in every football club. And immediately, they're angered. So you risk losing them already. And if you don't kill the goose one way, you'll kill him another.
So will the government's scheme work?
100% membership scheme, I don't think will work. And I think the government have been told that. I think most people in football believe that. And certainly the police believe it. We'd love to think that it would. I mean, can you imagine that the football clubs would be stupid enough not to embrace this wonderful answer to hooliganism? You know, if it existed, we'd say, great, let's put it in practice tomorrow. It doesn't matter what it costs. We can have trouble-free football forever and ever and ever. We're back in Europe. The world is wonderful again. Do you imagine it's just stubbornness that's stopping them take hold of the perfect answer?
It's clear that those happiest with the members-only scheme are politicians, shoppers, traders and police. Those unhappiest are the people who play, run and watch football. Government wants action. The football authorities want extra time. Luton's move has not been universally popular. In the end, they may feel justifiably aggrieved if they themselves are penalised after having taken so firm a lead and done everything possible against seemingly impossible odds to save, in the eyes of the world, the tarnished reputation of British football.